Hey, what's up, it's Matt, and I hear a lot of things. Mostly because I have ears. But specifically, I tend to hear 3 statistics in popular media that are either misleading or just wrong. So I want to take this time and explain them to you. Let's begin. You always hear on TV shows that people in their middle ages don't really live past 30. That was when life hit its high point. You're not making it any further than that. So first off, this is correct. The average lifespan of someone in medieval Britain was around 30. But this is misleading because the average life was brought down so much because of really high infant mortality in the medieval times. The highest estimates say that up to 1/3 of children died before they got to the age of 5. This was all due to really primitive medicinal care, no vaccinations, doctors thinking chewing on sticks would help you with stuff. But if a medieval person made it to 21 past that really early dangerous age, they could be expected to live on average to 40-50 more years. So while the average life may have been 30 years old, this was just because of high infant mortality and a lot of people lived longer lives. Remember in the beginning I said that these statistics are either misleading or false? Well, the fact that 50% of all marriages end in divorce is just false. Now it is true that for the past decade or so, the divorce rate has been about half of what the marriage rate is, but this doesn't mean that 50% of all marriages end in divorce. In 2003, there were about 7.5 marriages per 1,000 people and 3.8 divorces. But what you have to understand is that when a couple gets divorced, they weren't necessarily married that same year. They could have been married decades back, and that divorce does not impact the number of marriages that are likely to succeed or fail in any given year. The New York Times has a great graph illustrating why we seem to be talking about this now. For couples who married in the 70s and 80s, around now is the time when they're divorcing at rates like 45 to 50%. We do still have a lot of divorces in a year, but that's because the 45 to 50% from the couples married in the 70s and 80s are finally coming back. And you can clearly see that the divorce rate for couples married in different decades is significantly lower. In fact, if trends continue, experts predict that more than 2/3 of marriages will never experience divorce. So while we are technically seeing a divorce rate that is 50% of the marriage rate, half of all marriages do not end in divorce. According to the 2014 State of the Union address, women make 77 cents for every dollar a man makes. This is highly politicized and divisive, so keep an open mind. Also know that I did my research. You can check the description for the links. Anyway, this statistic is right. Though the numbers fluctuate between reports and agencies, the 77-cent figure is supported by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. But this statistic is often used or interpreted to mean that when a man would make $1 for a job, a woman would only make 77 cents because of gender discrimination. The idea that the 23-cent wage gap is based entirely on pay discrimination, that is not true. And that's even been acknowledged by White House press secretaries. While this gap is in part explained by pay discrimination, there are a lot of complex factors that combine to explain the 23% wage gap. One basic reason, according to the Institute for Women's Policy Research, is that women more often choose to be receptionists, nurses, and teachers, while men pursue paths as truck drivers, managers, and computer software engineers, which obviously pay more. But are women only gravitating towards these lower paying fields because of sexist societal structures? Probably in part, but that is a topic for another video. Currently, independent research groups and economists estimate that for equal work, women do receive 93 to 95% of the pay that men get. Those numbers are also debated a lot, but now we know 2 things for sure. 1, women do get much more than 77 cents for every man's dollar for equal work, but 2, gender discrimination still clearly exists in our market and should be eliminated. This one stat specifically has so many conflicting sources, so if you disagree with me, tell me why, and like I said, I'll be doing another video explaining it more in depth in the future, so stay tuned for that. If you've heard of any statistics that are confusing or you think are widespread and totally misunderstood, let me know and I'll try to take a look at them. Leave your thoughts in the comments and I'll see you later. Thanks.